the debut of season number 2 of the Off the Bench Radio Spotlight Series presented by Nuga Splash going on tonight. And we're charged up tonight for sure because we got 4 of the Lady Chargers softball players from their state championship team. First in school history, definitely a big deal across the area. And I guess we're leading off the lineup here with Erin and Alli Matthews in the studio. And thank you both for coming down here and hanging out with us. How are we doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, for those who don't know, both of y'all were seniors, and the resemblance is definitely canny. Twin sisters there. I asked this off air. I want to ask it on air. How often is there a mix-up between the both of you?
Probably about once a day.
Once a day.
At least.
Now, your family has more than just the last couple years for you guys. Your sister was a part of the team last year. I think she was a senior. She was at North Alabama this year, correct? Yes. So kind of talk about just the path for you guys. Obviously, softball's in your blood. So kind of talk about just the path and kind of how where you first fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, she obviously started playing a year earlier than – well, actually, we all started playing T-ball out of East Brainerd, and she went off and started playing for the Frost Falcons, and then my dad got asked to coach a younger age for me and Erin, and kind of from that point, we just fell in love with it, and we've always played since then.
Erin, let's throw that to you. So kind of talk about that from your perspective. So I'm guessing it was more Matthews on that team than anybody, right, for sure?
Yeah, I kind of have the same story with softball as Alli. Obviously, we played on the same teams growing up and then kind of bounced around travel ball teams, but I would say I also fell in love with softball playing on that Falcons team. We also played with Addi on that team too, so that was kind of cool playing with her when we were little and then coming back together at CCS and doing that. So I would say definitely in like that 8U year, 8U, 9U, whatever, is when I really fell in love with softball and knew I wanted to keep playing.
Absolutely. So, you were a part of this senior class right here. You knew what you were doing in May, and that was hanging out in Murfreesboro for at least a few days. So kind of talk about just from your perspective, being a part of that legacy that your sister was also part of and not missing a spring fling through your whole high school careers.
Yeah, it was definitely cool for me. Obviously, Emily's kind of one of the ones who kind of built it up, but even the people before, like I remember growing up, like going to the softball games, seeing the people like that kind of built up the program, and then especially this year, like knowing when we won it all, it's not just us, it was like the people before us that built the program too. That's something that was really big, I think, when we won the state championship to think about. So
Alli, how about from your perspective, being a part of the kind of that legacy and setting more of that foundation for Lady Charger softball?
Yeah, it's really cool to be able to know like we've kind of built this legacy of like we know every May we're going, like it's not a question for us if we're going to go to the spring fling. It's like, no, we know that's where we're going to be, and it's really cool to have done this to win the state championship, and then so the next year's team can be like, okay, they did it, now it's our turn to do it, not just go, but to win. Absolutely.
So, obviously both of y'all have graduated. Favorite moment, obviously the state championship this year was a big thing. Kind of, just the streak you guys went on at the end of the season, which ended with a state championship. Favorite moment from your 4-year career, or this year, or both?
It's hard to pick one, but maybe kind of broadly, just I think every year we took a spring break trip to go play, and those are definitely some of my favorite memories. This year was really fun. We went to Gulf Shores and played, and just those trips, getting to be with your teammates for however many days it was, and seeing them and hanging out off the field as well as on the field. It's something that I always looked forward to and memories that I don't think I'll ever forget.
How about you, Alli?
I think it would just have to be those 3 games we played at Spring Fling. There was just something that was like different about the team. Like all of us were in it together. We knew what we wanted to do, and there was just something different about those games from any other game I played in high school. Okay,
so I got to ask this. I think you knew this was coming. We were at the Baylor game on your campus. We were there. And you got back in that game, forced extra innings. I know it didn't go the way you wanted to, back-to-back games against them. But like we said, ever since that point, you guys did not lose a game. And you helped end their season in spring fling. Kind of talk about just that run, what you guys kind of told each other. We had Coach Rogers on last week, and he was saying kind of, everybody kind of got together and kind of just laid it all on the line. And it seemed to be the trick, and you guys bought in and ended with some hardware.
Yeah, I feel like after that game, everyone, I know we lost in extra innings, but I feel like we kind of grew in confidence after that. Like in the past, they're such a good team and like such a powerhouse that in the past, sometimes it can be like, oh, we're playing Baylor, like the nerves are kind of there. But I feel like after that game, playing them so close and falling in extra innings, like it kind of gave us confidence, like, okay, like we can beat them, like we can do this. And so I think just we all, after that game, we were like, okay, like we know we can beat them. We know that this state championship, like we can do it. Like this is our year. And I think we just kind of built off that from there. And I think Coach Rogers is right when he said we bought in. Like I think that's exactly what we did. Everyone was kind of in it together. We were like we can do this. Like there's no other option. It was state championship or bust for us this year, really.
Alli, how was that from your perspective? Obviously, being one of the senior leaders and knowing that, hey, I mean the underclassmen and the juniors right below y'all are going to be looking up to you for the leadership that obviously set the tone and got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, like, coming into this season, we knew, like, we wanted to come in, we want to beat Baylor, we want to win the state championship, and we kind of tried to pour that into the younger kids, like, hey, we can do this, because coming in knowing, like, oh, they've won state 9 years in a row, like, that can be a little scary. Like, they're a good team, but we just tried, like, the 4 seniors just tried to say, like, no, we can beat this team, we can play with this team, we're just as good as them. And I think it really worked. I think they all really bought in, and I think that's part of why we beat them, because everyone bought into that idea of, hey, we can do this. Like, we're just as good as they are.
Now, obviously, I think one of y'all or both of y'all played another sport at CCS, and that was basketball. So kind of talk about being a multi-sport athlete, because, I mean, that's kind of, you see some specialized players for sure, but you see, a good mix of ones that play multiple sports there. So kind of talk about that. And obviously, it kind of helps lead in, from your winter to the spring season there for sure.
Yeah, it's something... Like, I'm really glad I played basketball all 4 years, but, like, it's really fun, but it's also really tough when, at the end of basketball season, you're kind of missing the beginning of softball, so it's kind of hard to juggle those, like, because you're sad you're missing softball, you're happy you're playing basketball, but I think it's something that was really good. I think it helped me stay in love with softball, I would say, because not doing it all year, having that kind of break in the winter to play basketball is something that was really helpful to me. And I also think it just helped me all around. Like, when I got to softball, I was in shape because I was running for basketball all the time. So it's something that I'm really glad that I did, honestly.
Absolutely. So did you both play multiple sports growing up, or is it mainly just softball?
Yeah, we've played basketball since we were in elementary school, and we both played volleyball for a while when we were in middle school, but it's pretty much always been a lot of softball.
Which sport do you think is the toughest to kind of grasp? Because obviously with volleyball, I'd be worried about getting a spike right to the face, right? But at the same time, if you see somebody in basketball coming down the lane at you, you're like, do I pull up for the charge? Do I try and go for the block? So which one do you think is tougher to grasp, especially at the high school level?
I think at the high school level, it'd probably have to be softball, because softball's a little more one-on-one.
Sure.
Like, no one can go out there and help you hit off a good pitcher. No one can go out there and help you, like, make the play when the ball is coming at you. Like, basketball, like, you have 4 other people on the floor with you that can help you out if you mess up. But I definitely think softball's a little tougher because it's really you against somebody else.
Erin, do you agree with that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, every sport's kind of tough, like, when you're first starting out, obviously, but softball's definitely a little different in the fact that, obviously, you have 8 other people out there, but it is more one-on-one battles that, someone can't really, like, be there picking you up, like, or they can be there picking you up, but, like, they can't be doing it right there next to you, like, with you, if that makes sense.
So, obviously, you being sisters, talk about just the competitive nature you guys have. I mean, obviously, you're on the same team, but I'm sure there were some battles growing up and, like, trying to one-up each other, and you throw your sister, Emily, into the mix as well. So kind of talk about that dynamic growing up in a competitive sports family.
Yeah. I mean, we grew up, like, playing kickball, wiffle ball, basketball, whatever, in the backyard, in the front yard. And so we were always competitive. We would play games in the house, whatever it might be. And we definitely always wanted to win. I think that just kind of goes to how I am, like, on the softball field, how we are as a family on the softball field. Like, we always want to win. And I think that probably started in the backyard playing those games, because none of us ever wanted to lose. Like, we were the kids that we'd kick the ball and we'd get out and we'd be like, no, you cheated. Like, I was safe. Like, that was always us. And so I think that just speaks to kind of how we are on the field.
Alli, how about you?
Yeah, growing up with 2 sisters in sports definitely helped me to not be satisfied. Like, I always wanted to do better than them. If they got a hit, I need to go get a hit too. If they made this play, well, now I need to go make this play too. So it helped me to not be satisfied with losing and to want to keep doing better and show that, like, I can do this if you can do it.
Last question before we go to break. Who's the better hitter?
I think Alli's the better hitter.
Okay.
I'll let
I
her
like
take
the
that
honesty.
one.
Awesome. Well, can't thank you both enough for coming down here with your teammates to come down here and kind of, learn more about y'all, but also celebrate the huge accomplishment, first state championship for CCS. You guys are a part of that legacy now, so congratulations.
Thank you, and thanks for having us.
We're running it back to two that were on our program last year, and that is Addi Lewis and Hannah Smith joining us in studio this time versus Frost Stadium. And thanks for coming back in and participating. How are we doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. So I guess we'll throw it up there first. Kind of talk about Addi, your senior season, obviously, and Hannah, you are going to be a senior this coming year. So kind of talk about the season overall and kind of just thoughts on being a state champion. Has it? I'm sure it's sunk in, but 2 weeks after the fact, I'm sure it's still really, really sweet.
It's still very surreal. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better last season. And even like the day after, I don't think it had fully sunk in until we got to design the rings last week. And so that really made it actually feel real.
What was the process involved with that?
We just sat down with Coach Rogers and he was like, have at it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the end product there for sure. So definitely well deserved. So, you're going to Lee University, I believe, in the fall. So kind of talk about just your path there, and obviously, the recruiting process is not day different than what it was even 5 years ago. But kind of talk about just from your perspective there and what led you to committing to the Lady Flames.
It was definitely a very rocky road for a little bit. I mean, I didn't know what I was expecting. I knew I wanted to play somewhere in college. And, she reached out to Coach Rogers, and I went on a visit, and I just knew that was where God was calling me to, and that is the place that felt like home for me.
Now, Hannah, you've have verbally committed to UTC, so both of y'all looking at staying local, and you're going to be one of the leaders on this team coming up. So, kind of talk about your process there, and kind of what led you to verbally commit to Coach Reed and the Mocs.
I would like to say that my recruiting process was fairly easy because I knew that UTC was where I wanted to go since I was 12 years old. So I've kind of had it dead set in my mind. That's where I wanted to go, and the opportunity opened up, so I took it.
There you go. I like it. Short and sweet to the point. I love that for sure. So, let's just talk about favorite moment from the year. Obviously, the state championship is going to be number one for sure. But it could be, I guess, for you, Addi. I asked, Alli and Erin there, kind of being a part of that legacy where you guys knew where you were going to be in May. That's spring fling. You went there every year. You were playing for the Lady Chargers. So, kind of talk about what was your favorite memory from either this year or the last 4 years for you.
I don't know. I feel like starting playing in 8th grade and going to state that year and my freshman year, we had kind of set the expectation for ourselves. We want to get there. We will get there every single year. And that's where we were going to end. Our season wasn't going to end before everybody else's. We were going to be there and we were going to fight to win a state championship. So I feel like the end, spring fling, those last couple of games were probably my favorite part of the season, just because this year, just our team as a whole felt like a completely different team. We were all there for each other. We knew what we wanted, and this year specifically, it felt like we were going to get that.
Hannah, how about you? Obviously, no pressure, looking to continue the legacy there at Spring Fling, but you guys got a pretty good supporting cast coming back for next year. But for this year, favorite moment, it could have been the state championship, but there could have been a under the radar moment that kind of helped you guys along the way. What's one that sticks out to you?
It probably was the state championship, but I would say spring break is a pretty close second. Just because being together and being friends off the field is almost more important than being friends on the field. So I think that's what made it so fun.
No, I'll ask them. I'll ask the Matthews sisters when we bring everybody back in here for the final segment. You guys going back to Murfreesboro every year. You got to have a favorite go-to place to eat at, right? Because you guys have been there so much, you might as well just buy a house up there. So, what's the go-to spot for the Lady Chargers during Spring Fling Week?
This isn't a food place, but we go to Super Target every time.
Yes, we go to Super Target.
We wear that Target out. So
I don't know.
We can stick with Super Target. That sounds good to me.
I mean, after the state championship, our celebratory meal was Raising Cane's.
Coach Rogers mentioned that last week on the program. He said it was his first time trying it. He's going to hit the one on 153 very soon. Yeah. So I think it might be his favorite meal overall based on what y'all guys did a couple weeks ago.
He seemed really excited when I asked him about it. So
kind of talk about, I asked, Alli and Erin this. I think you knew it was coming. I think we mentioned it before the show. Those 2 games against Baylor, I didn't go your way, obviously, but looking back over the schedule, you guys went on a run, not losing a game, and and getting a state championship. So clearly something happened there. And even Coach Rogers said last week, you guys kind of got together as a group and kind of sat down and kind of not necessarily resetting, but kind of getting back, like focusing, hey, this is what it's going to take to get back to Murfreesboro and get it done. So kind of talk about just that stretch right there and what led to the state championship run.
I feel like the game that we played Baylor at home, obviously, like, we took them into extra innings. I feel like that game, like, we all realized, like, playing as a team was the only thing we had to do in order to beat them. And we could do that. We had been playing as a team for the whole year. Like, this team wasn't something that was new to us. We had a few new players, but that was it. And I feel like everybody gelled together really well. So I think that, like, after those 2 games, we really, like, understood, well, we have to play as a team, and that's what's going to get us there.
Hannah, how about you?
I feel like we kind of collectively realized that we really have nothing to lose. We've been in this spot before, and we lost a championship game before, so as soon as we, like, secured our spot to state, I really feel like there was nothing to lose there.
You guys are playing with house money at that point, for sure, right? So and that's the good thing. You guys have been there so much, you kind of knew what the expectation was and kind of what was needed to get over that hump. And you guys beat St. Benedict twice, I believe. You beat Baylor in between. So when that final out happened, first thing that went through your mind?
It wasn't even like the final out. After the 6th inning, I was already crying.
The whole entire top of the 7th in the field, like, I was bawling. Yeah. I just, like, I knew that, like, Kylie in the circle, I knew she was going to get it done. I knew, like, everybody in the field, I knew we were going to be behind her. And so when the final out went to Neely, I just was like, I didn't even, like, I watched it be caught, but I just, like, knew that it was actually happening.
It kind of, like, all fell into place right there in the 7th inning, and it felt so real.
Yeah, for sure about that. So, okay, I'm going to ask you a trick question here. Would you rather hit a fastball off of Hannah or Kylie?
Okay, honestly, I really don't know, because Kylie's fastball is not what I'm worried about. It's everything else. I'm scared of her.
Swiss Army knife pitcher. She can hit you with everything.
I mean, I've had my fair share of both off both of them, but I don't know.
You can say me.
I honestly don't know.
That's good stuff for sure. So, I guess so. What's left for the summer? I think you said you were playing in the collegiate league. I've kind of heard a little bit about that. A lot of our local players are playing in that. And are you playing travel ball this summer, Hannah?
We're going to Florida this weekend. Then we're going to Dalton, and then we'll be in Colorado. Maybe I don't know if we're going to Atlanta and California. I probably missed something. But
sounds like your summer's all set then.
It is. Yeah, I'm excited.
Pretty full.
It is very full.
and thankful that you guys were able to squeeze a little bit of your time in here with us tonight. So I think we asked this last year. I went back over our notes from last year. Is a favorite place to play? Was it Colorado or Florida? You mentioned as far as like travel ball.
Colorado. Yeah, I love.
And what
Colorado.
was that again? You're going to have to remind us about that.
The weather. The weather is always perfect in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the ball goes farther. So.
That's a good point. You wouldn't think about that, Joe. I know they talk about the elevation and the altitude there, but that does help with the baseball and the softball. So
that'd be the first thing I thought about.
Yeah, clearly you are
the ball out of the park, man.
You are the baseball softball expert on this program.
Absolutely,
so no doubt about that. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming down here again and kind of a follow up from last year's debut for you guys. I appreciate just you guys willing to participate and your teammates as well. And congrats again. You guys are forever 2025 state champs. That's good stuff. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the OTB Radio Spotlight Series presented by Nooga Splash. Again, noogasplash.com For all hours, ticket information, and more, open now until Labor Day. So if we get out there and find a way to stay cool in Chattanooga, again, located at Chester Frost Park in Hickson. So we got all 4 back in here. Erin and Alli Matthews, Hannah Smith, and Addi Lewis, state champs.
Yes.
So, obviously, we talked about this a little bit off air, kind of got the discussion. I said, wait, we got to talk about this on air for sure. So, obviously, in college, the day and the era of NIL is definitely rampant in every sport. So, what would be the ultimate NIL sponsorship for all of you? I guess we could start, whoever wants to start with that first. Addi, you're ready to go, so go ahead.
I am. I'm going to have to go with, like, Lululemon or Starbucks. I drink Starbucks, like, every day.
That's funny. So. Alli, squeeze in here on this mic, and which one would you want to go for sure?
I think I'd want to have an NIL deal with Body Armor, but I'd only promote the strawberry banana because that's my favorite.
Okay. Shout out to Body Armor. Good sponsor right here on the Talk Monster. Hannah, how about you?
Probably Dunkin' or, like, Nike because I like their clothes.
You talked about a jet ski.
Oh my
gosh. Go for like CD or something
yes.
too?
Yeah, that's probably number 1 if that's achievable.
And where would you ride that? You mentioned it.
My front yard.
And how about you, Erin?
I feel like Nike would be a good one, but also I was thinking about this while they were talking. Probably Taco Bell because I love Taco Bell. Anytime, like late night after games, like if we were going to get food, like Taco Bell was always in the running. So maybe Taco Bell.
I think that's the talk radio right there for sure. The NIL that we need for sure, Joseph.
I would take that one, a Whataburger, one of the two.
Oh my gosh, it's coming soon, right?
Yes, absolutely,
for sure. So, pets at home.
Oh yeah, I got that.
Yeah,
I have 3 dogs. I have a pit bull, and I have some, like, French bulldog mix. I don't really know what she is. I also have a husky. And I also have a cat named Terry. And he eats hot dogs.
Very specific.
Yeah.
It's my kind of cat right there for sure. All right, let's go to the Matthews house. Do you have animals at home, dogs, cats?
No, we've actually never had a pet before, so.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you.
We always asked for dogs growing up, but we were always at the softball field every weekend. So like we're not getting a dog to bring to the softball field every weekend. So
I'm sure you saw plenty at the softball field right
yeah,
there
definitely.
to do that for sure. Addi, how about you?
I have a puppy. Her name's actually Poppy. She's a mini Aussie Doodle. I got her for Christmas. I used to have a fish, but
We're not gonna bring this up. Something happened to the fish. I'm
we
kidding.
probably should bring it up.
That's good stuff for sure. So I guess. Ladies, final thoughts. You guys are obviously state champions. The legacy has been set. No pressure, Hannah, going into 2026
Oh, yeah.
to continue the legacy there. But hey, you guys had a great season. Good way to end it, capping off with a state championship in Murfreesboro. So, and also anything you want to say about your coach, Coach Rogers? I'm sure he's not listening at all, or we'll listen to this.
I mean, I only have good things to say. I've been with him for a really long time. And I'm just glad that I ended my time with him that way.
I would have to agree. He's been probably the best coach, or maybe not the best coach, but I've had a lot of good coaches. But he's been one of my favorite coaches that I've ever got the chance to play for. And so, like Addi said, I'm really glad that as seniors we got to end it out, kind of riding out that high with him of winning a state championship.
I like that he's the kind of coach that we can, like, joke around with and be friends, like, off the field. He's a really funny guy.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just really grateful I got to play for him because he's different from any coach I've ever had before, and he really showed me a good way. Like, if I ever want to coach, like, I would want to coach like him because I really love the way he coached all of us.
That's a good way to end it. Again, guys, thank you so much for coming down here and letting us put a little bit of a spotlight on you guys in the CCS softball program. A historic year for sure, and appreciate the time to come down here. Enjoy the summer, and good luck at the next level for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.